Hello, students. Today we are going to take up a profound poem on Jennifer's Tigers by Adrienne Rich. Adrienne Rich was an American poet, scholar, and a critic, and she has in her works addressed many of the problems anguishing humanity. She was also a great champion of women's movement as a poet and theorist. In her work, Diving into the Wreck, which is a collection of exploratory and often angry poems, have garnered her the National Book Award 1974. The other awards which she bagged were Lincoln Prize 2003, Griffin Poetry Prize 2010. In this poem, which was published in 1951, Adrienne Rich explores and dwells into the limitations of a married life a woman faces, the oppressions, the suppressions, and the agony she goes through is all about the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. Let's take up the first stanza. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright past denizens of world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree, they pace in sleek, chivalric certainty. At the very onset of the poem, we get to know that there is a woman named Aunt Jennifer who is busy knitting or embroidering her panel, that is tapestry. And what is she embroidering? She is embroidering tigers which are bright topaz, means yellowish, brown colored, denizens of world of green. So these are the inhabitants of the world of green. The forest. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. So these tigers which she is embroidering are fearless, courageous, they are chivalric. Chivalric means bold. They pace in sleek, chivalric certainty. So they are walking or pouncing in, in an elegant manner, in a certain manner. They are certain because nobody can bring harm to them. Let's take up the second stanza and then we'll be taking up the deeper meaning. First, let's take up the surface meaning. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So we get something beyond the lines that Aunt Jennifer's fingers are fluttering. What might be the reason for her fingers fluttering through her wool? So her fingers are shaking. This gives an idea that she is not happy. Now, what has happened, we'll get to know further. Find even the ivory needle hard to pull. So, even an ivory needle, a very light, weightless ivory needle, she is finding hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So we get to know why is she shivering, why are her hands fluttering. Reason being, she is not happy in her marriage. Which line suggests that? The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band. So it's not physically the band means the ring is not physically heavy, but it is mentally heavy. That means she's not happy in her marriage, sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So it is sitting heavily on her hand. That means she is suppressed somewhere in her marriage, and this is quite implicit, not explicit, but we get to know that she isn't happy at all. When aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. So, here in these two lines, we get an idea that Aunt's life is not a bed of roses. Her life freely. Her hands are terrified. Now, this is transferred epithet. Instead of she being terrified, the poetess uses terrified hands, which is obviously an epithet. So the poetess says that even after her death, when Aunt Jennifer would die, she would be still be stuck. She will be coiled in the ordeals. Ordeals means the difficulties she was mastered by. So, mastered, like, what kind of implications are there here? Are like as if the ringmaster masters the. So was Aunt Jennifer mastered by her husband. She was never ever free. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing proud and unafraid. So, here we get to know something about the patriarchal society, the male dominated society, the male chauvinist, that that how do they master the females is through these conditioning which is done by the male patriarchal society, and women are not to live freely. They are not allowed to come out with their thoughts because that is a taboo. So the tigers here in the panel that she made. So tigers also stand here. There are various connotations to the tiger here. The tiger here means the men, folk in the society who will be prancing proud and unafraid. Even if Aunt Jennifer dies, the husband would be least bothered because he didn't care even a bit for her. So let's take up the deeper implications or the connotation of the poem from the very first stanza. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen. So somewhere Aunt Jennifer's tiger, why is she knitting the tigers? Now what is these tigers, what is the connotation here of the tigers? Tigers here stand for her free spirit, which she wants to live like those tigers, fearless and unafraid. And she is weaving, so she is giving a vent to her suppressed feelings, to her mental agony through her art form, and that is why she is embroidering these tigers. And she wants to be like those tigers, but she can't be because of the compulsions and the society in which she is living. So the poetic devices used here in the first stanza are, see, the tigers are symbol of males. It's symbol of her, suppressed feelings. It's a symbol of bravery. So there are various connotations to the word tiger. And what does the wedding ring symbolize? Wedding ring is a symbol of oppression in a marriage. There is imagery used when we get to know that through this line, Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool. So the images are built in our minds. Our fingers fluttering again is alliteration. The artwork basically is like she's building a parallel world in which she lives, and she feels happy in that, and she gives her vent to her suppressed feelings through through her creativity, that is the embroidery. So, this is what the whole poem means. The rest of the poetic devices we will be taking up in the live session we'll be having.